Welcome back to Hot Takes and Deep Dives. This is Jess, and we are here, an exciting day. Lots of breaking news. The Atlanta trailer just dropped, and I'm about to react to it with Steve from, you guys all know him, Steve from FacesByBravo. What's up, Steve?
Hey.
How you
How's
doing?
it going?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. I mean, Atlanta trailer dropped today, so that was exciting.
I mean, we actually do have an agenda for you guys.
Yeah. Yeah.
We were just blessed with this extra delivery. Why don't we first just give our quick thoughts on the Atlanta trailer, and then I saw that you were doing this thing on your Instagram where you basically were listing out your unpopular hot takes, like your unpopular opinions on all this Housewives stuff. And I love that because I actually often disagree with the mass mentality around the Housewives think tank. I often kind of have a little bit of a different opinion. So I would love to hear from someone else who has really strong, detailed rationales for things.
Absolutely.
I guess just to start, you were just telling me that you lived in DC for a long time and you recently moved to LA. So I know that you're a pediatric nurse.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I've been a pediatric nurse for 8.5 years.
That's unbelievable. So you obviously went to college and grad school to become a nurse. How did you decide to become a nurse?
So I was an undergrad and originally thinking pre-med. Definitely was not the journey that I think that I guess predicted it would be. And I realized that that's not what I wanted to do, but I did still want to do medical. And in fact, nursing is what I thought doctors essentially did, like actually doing the patient care type stuff. So basically after I graduated undergrad, I went straight into grad school to get a second degree in nursing. And I've been a nurse ever since.
So do you work the night shift? Is that it?
I do.
So what are your hours?
7 p.m. to 7:30 a.m.
So that is why. Okay, so I'm obviously on East Coast time. That's why when I literally woke up this morning, at around 7, you were responding to my DMs. And I'm like, he's in LA. This is and then I was like, oh, I get it. He's been up all night. Oh wow.
Everyone is so confused because sometimes I'm on normal people time, and then sometimes I'm why are you on the West Coast and up at this hour? And my hours are always crazy because I have to flip back and forth.
And so I guess obviously being a pediatric nurse is your full-time job. When did you start? Because it's basically your claim to fame is you created this FacesByBravo Instagram meme account, which is super popular, and and you also have these friendships with the Housewives. So how did that? Obviously, what was your entry point to the show?
Right. I love Housewives. I love Bravo. And my friends and we talk it, dissect it, and it was always a topic of conversation. And so I decided to make FacesByBravo. I think it was June of 2018. So I guess we're a little over 2.5 years ago. And I didn't have any expectations for it. I literally just did it as an outlet because I realized bottomless brunch can't be my only hobby. Although it's a good hobby, I needed something else. So I started it, and I don't know, it was growing week by week so fast, and it just sort of took off. And I'm so thankful for everyone that supports the page because I love it, and I'm hoping they're loving it too.
That's amazing that you have this. I just think it's so interesting, the dichotomy, sort of a dual life that you have, because being a pediatric nurse, that's a real far cry from because the stuff that you're doing on Instagram is very time consuming. It's very time consuming to have a podcast and have any type of real consistent creative output. And I can only imagine, I've actually talked a lot with Ryan Bailey about, how the hell did you create this meme account? And I'm always sort of amazed by it just seems like it would take over somebody's life.
It is a lot of time. I don't know. There are a lot of people that do recognize how much time it actually takes. And then there's some people I think don't know. And I don't talk about it that much because I don't want it to come off as if I'm like, oh, I'm spending all this time, you should be thankful. It's no, I enjoy doing it, but it is a lot of work.
Steve, let's just jump off with what did you think of the Atlanta trailer?
Here's my thoughts. I liked it. I wasn't blown away. There were moments where I got like chills because during the Breonna Taylor and Portia and all of that, it was really powerful. Of course, we all know Strippergate that has been reported on. It was really well teased in the trailer, I thought. I'm very upset that we only have 5 peaches. I'm like very, very upset about that. I heard it was a last minute demotion.
But demotion of who?
LaToya.
Oh, really? Well, why? What was the deal? Just a contractual thing?
I think it was a similar to like a Sutton situation with the husband not wanting kids involved. I think that's what it is. But
that's so weird because there are inconsistencies when it comes to that. I mean, like Brandy didn't film with her kids. Bethany never filmed with Bryn. Like it just seems like they pick and choose who they're gonna demote.
So the thing is, I don't know how she filmed this season, but I think what happened with both Sutton and LaToya is I think they probably filmed thinking the kids would be like, he was okay with it. And then a last minute type of decision. So in the past, yeah, Brandy was able to like, I can't have my kids on the show, so they can film all that, all of her scenes ahead, during the season, knowing that their kids can't film. Whereas if you have to cut all of their home stuff,
what are you left with?
What are you left with? You just have their like group stuff.
I mean, also just one side note on like demotions or people turning into friends of, Barbara Kay filmed her entire season, including her son, like many scenes with her son, thinking she was a full-time housewife. And in the end, she chose not to sign the contract.
Yep. We talked about that. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's interesting. Like the demotion and full-time, it's something that we as fans obsess on, and it's kind of funny. But it does make a difference. I want another tagline. I want, that extra person we're really getting to know. And the friends are very important though, because they add this extra layer.
I would argue that the friends are nowhere more important than in Atlanta.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Right?
Atlanta has the most and the best friends up.
They have there's just, I remember my friend was showing me a few episodes because Atlanta was actually I hadn't been watching Atlanta from the beginning, but then when I was like, okay, if I'm going to like do a podcast, I need to like become a true scholar here. Like my 2 guy friends who are like obsessed with Atlanta, I'm like, I need you to like start showing me the iconic shit. And I'm like, wait a second, how are there like 30 housewives on this show? They're like, yeah, they're all friends up. And I was like, oh, like I had no idea. This was from like season 5. This was like the good old days.
Oh, yeah, the good old days. Yeah, like I mean, we have like like Cynthia's sister and Portia's sister, and then we have the other friends like Marlo, Shamia, Tammy, Lisa Wu will come back every once in a while. Like they have so many friends just coming around, and I love it.
It's great.
I can't forget Marlo.
Of course, of course. And that's well-worn territory that it's her decision. She doesn't want to do it, yada, yada.
Right.
Because I think they actually get paid more. They get paid per scene if they're a friend. So it works out for them financially. That's the reason why it worked out better for Luann and why it worked out better for Camille like 2 years ago, whatever. Okay, the Atlanta trailer, I actually completely agree with what you just said. I thought it was all right. It was okay. It was fine. The only stuff that really hooked me was when they started showing the protests and anything that Portia was doing. I will say I was very impressed how quickly they edited and cut together this trailer, considering Cynthia's wedding just happened and the stripper rumors between Portia and Tanya. Didn't that happen at Cynthia's wedding?
No, that was the Charleston trip, which
Oh, the
was
Charleston trip. Okay.
end of September.
But that's like really,
That's quick.
but and it's also strange that they would show, well, okay, I think that tells me more than anything that they're still filming.
Oh, yeah, they're in New Orleans right now. They're on a cast trip.
Isn't that unusual to release a trailer in the middle of filming?
Right? I know. I do think, I forgot to add this onto my opinion of the trailer. While I do think it was good, it wasn't like, oh my God, like the Potomac trailers have been, or New Jersey. I think they're doing a good job of maybe hiding what's really to come. I think Atlanta does a good job of not giving away all of their story, and they have enough going on. So they want to keep you interested enough to watch, but they want to surprise you in the season.
That's the way New York usually rolls. Like they usually don't give away the goods, and Potomac like kind of led you with one thing, and then it turned out to be like much, much deeper than we ever could have imagined.
I actually think Potomac, up until this year, obviously there was, the fight was a big thing. But prior to that, Potomac was very hush-hush about anything going on during the season. I feel like there's some franchises that are more open while filming about what's going on.
Beverly Hills, they tell you everything. Beverly Hills, you've seen it. By the time like the season premiere, you're like, okay, so when do we get to Randy Glanville? But you have to wait 17 hours, literally, episodes to actually get to it. The new housewife, Drew Sidora.
Yes.
This is an established actress. It's interesting that they picked yet another actress, another person who's already in the public eye. She has an album, like music.
Oh, wow. No, I did not know that.
Yeah.
My initial thoughts watching the trailer, I love her already. I think she's going to bring some new, fresh energy, and she seems like she's going to fit well. Before I had seen the trailer, the rumors going around and all of that, I was told, or I saw on like Twitter or on Instagram that she was going to be sort of like a Kim Fields. And I was like, oh, that's an interesting choice. But she didn't give me Kim Fields at all. She looked like she was coming in hot. And she's ready to like give it all to us.
I'm excited to like meet her, like re-meet her, because I've actually like seen some of her acting work.
Right.
And like she's always been like very, very beautiful, like actually
stunning.
Like gorgeous. So whatever, like I'm interested to see how they like make it work with yet another actress. Okay, the number one thing when like watching the trailer, as soon as I saw the face shields, I was like, I'm out. I don't want to watch people in face shields on my glossy television show.
I totally, I think that is something that is going to be really hard for us as viewers to like. We want Housewives, of course. We want our entertainment, but at the same time, we're in the middle of this pandemic, and they are doing something to get us that stuff. But it is kind of triggering. Like we're living through this. We lived through a really dark period. It's still, I feel like a little dark, but it's hard to watch some of that. It can be very triggering, and I totally get what you're saying.
It premieres. Okay, so this is kind of cool. It premieres Sunday, December 6th, which means Potomac and Atlanta are going to overlap for probably a month as Potomac finishes their reunion.
Right. Yeah, because the finale is the night of the premiere.
I love that.
Yeah, that's going to be really good.
I love that.
Yeah, because I've heard the Potomac finale is good. Like it's going to be action packed.
And they're filming the reunion like maybe next week, like very, very soon.
It's I think like a couple weeks.
So that's it. I mean, I'm excited that we kind of like got that like as like an extra thing. We were planning to do this anyway. I was like, oh, perfect. We can do this at the top. So that's the Atlanta trailer. All right. This is what I really want to do with you.
Oh,
basically confessing and talking about like our unpopular opinions. And what I want to do is the best way to do this is let's just go franchise by franchise. And I also want to do Vanderpump Rules because I am definitely as passionate about Vanderpump as I am the Housewives.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah, I can get into that.
Cool. And listen, like jump in, like this is a
Yeah.
freewheeling situation.
So actually, can I start off by saying my favorite show on Bravo
Please.
is not a Real Housewives.
What is it?
I think the best show on Bravo is actually Married to Medicine.
No shit.
Married to Medicine Atlanta is better than any Housewives. These women have been friends for years and years, and the cast hasn't changed much. And that it's because they are so real, so vulnerable. They are so open, and they get dramatic. They're messy. They are shady as hell. And it's so funny. It's such a good show. And then the husbands are also involved. And that just adds another layer. And you actually learn a lot from them. Like they do a lot of stuff about coupling thing, you know, like on their cast trips, it's always a couples trip and they talk issues out and stuff. And it's just such a good show. Like there was two of the cast members, Simone and Cecil, were going to file for divorce. And at the reunion decided to not go file for divorce.
Like, oh my God.
Iconic. Like,
I love
right?
That.
They all were talking about it, and then I think by the end they just decided to stay together.
So I want to tell you something, and I'm obviously like no Married to Medicine, like I know you're telling me like the most that I've ever like really like heard about it. So are you familiar with The Real World at all?
Not, I watched like 2 seasons, which is sad.
It's probably, you're probably too young. No, I mean, honestly, you probably are. Like maybe before your time. But so I recently interviewed a cast member who was on The Real World Boston. Her name's Camila Phillips. And she's she now is an OBGYN in New York City. Listen, her season was on 20 years ago, you know? Yeah. Right. But it was actually my favorite season of The Real World. Long story short, she's a huge Bravo fan, loves Potomac. In the interview, she tells me that they gave her a contract, like a preliminary contract for a Married to Medicine. They wanted her, but her husband wouldn't let her do it. He was like, "Are you fucking crazy?"
No. Wait, she was in New York too?
She lives in New York. So is there a Married to Medicine New York?
There is not.
So maybe
they're searching maybe. Well, the Atlanta one is so successful. They did try to do a Houston one that didn't end up going. And then LA just finished their 2nd season. I'm not sure if it's getting renewed. But Atlanta the ratings are just as good as some of the Housewives. So I can see why they'd be testing out everywhere. And I do think there is actually another one that's starting to film. I don't want to like reveal it yet. But there's going to be another Married to Medicine.
So, okay, if that's your favorite show on Bravo, what is the shittiest Bravo show? Or it doesn't have to necessarily be Housewives.
Let me think.
In your opinion.
Oh, I actually don't watch the Below Decks.
I know, it's so funny. This is the highest rated thing. Like people love it. People joke that it's like for straight people. That's what the straights watch.
That's a very good point, you know? That's funny. I actually liked it in the early... I watched like the first 2 seasons and then I just fell off. It just wasn't... I can probably, if it was on, I may not change the channel, but I would never make a special appointment for it. Absolutely not.
I'm going to save my unpopular opinion because it's like... It's a big situation, and I may want to actually like do a whole. I'm talking with my friend about actually turning it into an entire episode, and I want my friend to actually sell me on a specific show, and I'll reveal it. I'm gonna make it the last one we talk about.
Yeah,
because it's one of the things we're gonna talk about, and it's I have some things to say.
It's your least favorite? Is that what we're?
Yeah.
Oh, and it must be.
But I have such really strong. It's such an intense thing that I feel about it. All right, so let's start. Let's move. We'll talk about Atlanta in the middle because like we've already discussed a lot. All right, New York. Let's hear it, baby. What are your unpopular opinions?
All right, Cindy Barshop, underrated queen, super underrated. Here's the deal. Season 4, she was cast at such an unfortunate time. Although I felt she thrived on that cast, that cast was toxic at that point. I remember the reunion feeling exhausted. And I'm like, I'm a viewer. Why am I tired watching this? And I'm like, just emotionally worn out because it was just so toxic at that point. And it was clear they needed to do a clean house moment. But what I'm sad about is I think Cindy Barshop was done a disservice because Bethany had left the season prior and everyone was comparing her to Bethany instead of saying, this is Cindy Barshop. You can't compare these. Like, she wasn't there to replace Bethany. She was there to be Cindy. And I think that's an unfair criticism. And maybe sometimes people don't even realize that, because I didn't think about that until I asked, it was either Danny Pellegrino or Sam, Bravo historian. I was like, I cannot for the life of me figure out why people don't like Cindy, because I was doing a rewatch.
I think it's because, yes, you're hitting on the Bethany thing. I think it's because people saw her as the new Bethany for two reasons. Number one, she was single. Number two, this is so lame, but frankly, she's a brunette. She had like a dark aesthetic the way Bethany did. And she also, they presented her as being amusing. They presented her as being funny.
I mean,
but you know what? She left a legacy. Listen, I live in New York. I'm from Long Island. So in the summer, I'm always driving out to Long Island. You better believe. Do you know how I pass that Quag sign like every weekend of the summer? I think of Cindy every week.
That was such an ordeal. And of course, like I had not been to the Hamptons at that point in my life. And I was like, I had no concept of what Quag was, but I had this image of Quag being like, oh my God, I don't want to go there because how big of a deal they made it. But I hear it's really not that big. Like, it's actually a nice area.
Well, you know, it's so funny. So my first friend, when we were in our 20s, maybe I think we must have been like 25. My first friend to get married, I was like, oh my God, I can't believe you're getting married. Like, we were 25. Like, you know, it's young. Right. It's young.
That's young.
We had her bachelorette weekend in Quag.
Oh my God.
Like, the Housewives wasn't, like, maybe the Housewives were on, but I certainly, like, that hadn't yet happened. Like, Quag was so just funny. Not a thing. All right, give me more. Give me more.
Oh,
New York.
Heather Thompson, one of the best housewives of all time.
Well, that's a popular opinion.
What I've seen, I think
you know what?
Here's the thing.
The tide turned in her favor. In her favor.
That's what I was gonna say.
Like a goddamn presidential candidate.
People did not like her as much in the beginning.
Oh, they hated her. They thought she was so annoying.
And now it's like they forgot everything. Yeah. And I recognized at the time, like, she was everything to me. I thought she was such a good housewife. And she got under Ramona's skin so well. It was everything. Like, I will never forget Ramona showing up to the Berkshires and ordering air conditioning and pulling up to the house and saying, oh, is this the house or the garage? Like, this monster.
And taking a private plane or leaving.
Yes.
Chartering a plane to leave early because she hated it so much.
Her visual in the woods, incredible.
Oh, that acting. She had like a Blair Witch moment.
Oh my God, I can see myself. I would make mud pies over here because this was the kitchen. And this would be like my living room. And like, she had to have been faking it because clearly she knew she was leaving, but she was doing it so well.
Okay, let me give you an unpopular. Yeah. Aviva, great.
I agree with that.
She gave so many memorable moments. And I'm not talking about the leg throw. Forget about that. I don't even like that. That was stupid and that was just camp. I'm talking about her actual role on the show. Her first season, she was actually a very grounding force. The ghostwriter thing, it's actually fucking amazing. Like,
I mean,
amazing.
Like, I agree with you that she was a really good housewife. The details of behind the scenes with her, I feel like, and she just sort of turned me off as becoming too predictable and thirsty of wanting to like have her moment. You know what I mean? But I would say her first season was incredible because she was at least likable. And then at the end, the tide sort of flipped on her because once that the fight with Sonia and Ramona happened, it flipped a switch and she just like went off. And it was everything. It was like we saw two different housewives in one season from one person.
All right, give me one more about New York.
Actually, I'll say I have two.
Yeah.
Countess Luann has had the most iconic story arc as a housewife of all franchises.
Agree. She may be the best housewife of all time.
A lot of people say Teresa has had the craziest arc, but it's like, no, we knew what was going on. We knew what was going to happen, sort of. Yes, it was very intense and huge things that happened. I'm talking about a full story arc.
You could literally write a movie. And the same thing with Bethany. That's why my number one, number two housewives of all time are Bethany and Luann.
I mean, like, we had her in season 1. She said to Bethany, when you introduced me to the like help or the driver, call me
Mrs. De
Countess or Mrs. De Lesseps or Countess. And then all of a sudden she's caught having a nude man in the house and he was married and he was walking into Heather's room like that. And then getting arrested and losing her Countess title. Like, this is a huge arc. And she is now, I think she's found her way back up. Could be unpopular because of Teresa. And then my other one is, I know this is unpopular right now, I can't quit Ramona Singer. I know.
Steve.
I don't think she's delivered much. Like last season, she wasn't really anything. But I rewatch old seasons and I did not appreciate Ramona at the time when I was watching it. And then I started rewatching. She is, because of how awful she is, she's like actually iconic. And like, I will never forget when she saw Aviva's fake leg for the first time. She was literally like a child. She was like, do you have fake toes? Do you paint your toes? You get shoes? You have you have a swimming leg? And then she literally goes, all right, I'm just going to pretend that I don't have any idea. And I walk in and she just looks dead at like straight at the leg with the crazy eyes as if she saw like an alien. It is just so insane. And those moments make me laugh so hard.
Can I tell you how I feel about New York? This may not be popular. I mean, I don't really know. Bethany's return and her 5 season run, the second, her second run on the well, how do I say this eloquently? Bethany's return and the 5 seasons that she were part of, better than the first time around.
Oh, 1,000%.
Those seasons are better than seasons 1, 2, and 3.
Yep, I think I put in my unpopular opinions. 5, 6, and 7. Of course, 8, 9, and all that are great too. 5, 6, and 7. I did not remember how much I loved those seasons. I can rewatch those. 7 was when we had Dorinda introduced. Dorinda is one of the 3 that I give like a coveted title of. You enter a housewife that entered into like an established franchise, entered an established franchise at a later season, but feels like an OG because they were so seamless.
Yep.
I would say her, Dorinda, Margaret Josephs, and Shannon Bedore were all, in my opinion, like a seamless.
I need to give an honorable mention to Jules. She gone too soon. She was amazing. She created so much great fodder for Bethany and Carol. I could actually probably do an hour on the Bethany and Carol falling out, and that will all be unpopular opinions. But like we don't have the time. We do not have the time to go there. And then I think my final thought on which I don't think is I really think at this point is unpopular. I still want Jill back.
So I thought that for like, I think the past 2 seasons, but I don't think I do now, honestly. And it's not anything against her at all. I just don't think she would make sense anymore,
but
to be honest.
She's still friends with that.
I know.
No, but Steve, she's still legitimately close with, she's close with Dorinda. She's close with I don't know if she's friends with Sonia, but she's very close with Luann, and she legitimately has this love-hate frenemy friendship with Ramona. That alone,
I love any frenemy-ship with Ramona because I love to see Ramona squirm. But you know what would worry me about Jill is I think because she would be so nervous about losing it again, I don't know that she would deliver as much. Like she would hold back, I think, at this point, because she was like, there was a lot of stuff that went down that I think probably impeded on her coming back. But I don't know. I see what you're saying. I was with you. Like I would say 10 and 11. I was like, yeah, we could bring Jill back. But now I don't think I'm in anymore.
I mean, it probably wouldn't make sense now. Now with Leah and like the tide has turned. Like without
Totally.
Leah until like the tide has probably turned. Okay, next up, you know what? Why don't you pick what's the next city you want to do?
You know, because it's so controversial right now. Oh yeah, let's do Orange County because I have some thoughts on Orange County.
Okay.
So for Orange County, I think season 9 is their best season. Everyone thinks Cancergate was the best season ever, which it was a very good season.
What were the storylines in season 9?
So season 9 was Lizzie and Shannon joined the cast.
Okay, so Shannon's first season. Okay, Shannon's
first season. You probably remember in the trailer, like when they dropped that, and she's like, "You will all see the truth." Like she looked, you could tell this woman was like, I know I'm right in this situation, and like I'm looking like the crazy person, and I'm going crazy because I'm looking crazy. It was Shannon's story was so dark, but like so real, and it was the first time we saw Heather Dubrow be a villain, and really the only time. And Lizzie, I find her to be severely underappreciated. She took Tamra and Vicky, like she was not afraid to stand up to them. Her and Vicky had gotten a lot of arguments in the limo. Tamra went running away in Bali. You know, you'll never see my face again, which allegedly there was a lot more that went down than what we even saw. And I just think Lizzie deserved another round. And she did come back as a friend in season 10, but I would hope that if Orange County, would get another season next year, there could be a way to bring her back naturally, which would be through Emily.
Okay,
that was a lot. Sorry.
No. I'm laughing because I'm laughing for something else. Give me what like.
Oh, how more?
Yeah. Give me.
Your list. Oh, I have a lot. Heather Dubrow is definitely a value add, but she is not necessary to make OC great. And I think everyone thinks that Heather Dubrow is what made OC great, and it's not. She was a value add, and that's just the truth. Mm-hmm. Do you agree?
I need to save my thoughts until the very end.
Okay. Peggy Tanis was actually an amazing housewife, and she also does not get enough credit where it's due. Peggy versus Alexis was such petty ass drama that it was so funny to me. Like literally Alexis was jealous of the friend that she brought onto the show and always trying to one up her.
That's like Ramona and Elise.
Yes.
Okay.
Like it was like literally Peggy would say like, well, so my kid is doing this. And then so Alexis would be like, oh, well, my kid did this at this age. But, like it was a pissing contest, but it was so petty and so good. And she also we found out towards the end of the season, Jim and Peggy, Alexis's husband, had sex before. So that was a huge dramatic thing.
What do you think about Kelly Dodd these days? Because I know that you're close. Like I want to understand your friendship with Bronwyn because I know that you guys are genuinely close. And like, do you have a relationship with Kelly Dodd presently?
No, she blocked me for I don't even know why. Actually,
she blocked you.
Yeah,
you are my second guest to whom she has blocked.
I think she blocked all of the Bravo accounts or most of them. Yeah. Yeah, no, I have hung out with Kelly a couple times through Bronwyn and always had a great time. This season when I went to one of the filming events, you know, everything's always been fine. I just think now we're seeing a different Kelly that I thought that I loved to watch on TV. This is the stuff that she's putting out there now is irresponsible and it's gross and it's something that I can't get behind her at all.
Hold on a second. Is it true that you are in this current OC? You were in the trailer for this new season of OC. So what filming event were you at?
That one specifically is Bronwyn's son wants to do drag for the first time. Awesome. So we do a fun drag day at the house for him. So makeup artist comes, I brought the wigs, her stylist got the dresses, and we just did a fun drag day and transformed him. And then actually the next day, it wasn't filmed, but the next day me and Bronwyn and my boyfriend and then Emily Simpson, we all went to San Diego and they judged a charity drag queen competition called Toddlers and Tiaras.
Oh, cute. When did Bronwyn tell you that she was going to stop drinking?
She told me pretty much right when she did. But when she's talking about Miami, and she would say this on here, so I feel comfortable saying it, but she was calling me every morning. Like, I know exactly what she's referring to because we talked every day on that trip. And she's right. I mean, she was very intoxicated. It was like just a constant party wheel that weekend. And I think that was in like the late teens of January. So I think she maybe like 10 days later. I don't know the exact dates.
How did you become so close with her?
So funny. Do you know the game Who's That Housewife? Have you seen that at all?
Yes.
So we went up to Orange County. We met Bronwyn at Gulfstream, the bar up there, and we hit it off so well. And like she literally is just, she's a lot like me. Like I can talk to a wall. I can talk to anybody, and I'll probably become like your friend within the next 5 minutes, that kind of deal. And that was kind of like with her, it was just like, we vibed so well and we stayed in touch. And then it just turned into a friendship that I consider her super close.
Awesome. I love that. That's so sweet. I love it. Well, I'm excited to see you in the drag thing with her son. That's awesome.
Yeah, I'm excited too.
All right. Do you want to, this was the thing that I was going to save until the end. Or, you're not going to like this.
It's Vicky, isn't it?
No.
Oh.
I've never seen a frame of The Real Housewives of Orange County.
For a second, I just had that thought after, oh my gosh, you really have not seen it.
Okay, I know who Bronwyn is. Like, I've seen it. I mean, it's like even people who don't watch The Housewives like know who they are. So yeah. That is my perspective. You know, people who like don't watch, but like they're like, oh yeah, I know who the Countess is. Oh yeah, I know Bethany, but they don't sit and watch the show. Here is my unpopular opinion. I don't understand how this is most people's entry point into the Real Housewives franchise. I have never felt the impulse to follow the lies of these people at all. I've just never had that instinct. Like the reason why all these people are like quote unquote boycotting OC, it's the same reason why I never gave a shit about it all along. I always saw them like from afar. In my mind, I was just always like, why do I want to watch? They just all seem like white trash, quite frankly. And like, it's like, like obviously they're just like racist, blonde. Like, I just don't like they're all the bleach blonde, like not a dark hair. Like, I don't like that aesthetic of just like the pale skin and the bleach blonde hair and the fake boobs. To me, it's just, I don't know. It's a me thing. It is very much a me thing.
Totally understand. Because I will be honest, for the longest time, it was not, I think it might have been my least favorite. Like I watched it because I will never not watch a Housewives. Like I physically cannot, my body will not let me. But when it started, it was not what Housewives is today. It was started as like this documentary of seeing what is it like to be super rich and not have to like worry about it. You can just spend money. It was like living behind the gates. And it was such a different show then. And even as it progressed, it was only until the late mid seasons that I actually feel like it started to pick up as good entertainment. But you're right. A lot of the cast members are not likable. Mm-hmm. There was entertaining aspect. Like Vicky is not likable.
From what I understand, like I think I've talked to a lot of people. Like I've shared, like this should not be a total shock to like the readers of the podcast, but like they know me. Like I think this like shouldn't be a shock because like I never really talk about OC. But who's the smart one? Like is like who? I mean, Vicky, from what I understand, is actually like Brian Moylan was telling me, because I've like sought help about this, like to experts, like help me, like I want, like teach me, like I need a guide, and then I would love to actually document that on the podcast, like give me I need a how-to guide, I need a roadmap. Where do I start? It's like 15. It's too much. It's too overwhelming. Like give me what is a hook for me?
And
like Brian, or who was explaining it to me? Oh no, I think it was my friend Jamie Stein. I think ultimately I'm going to do a thing with Jamie Stein, who you may know. He's he's the Housewives empath. He's a really close friend of mine.
Oh, yeah.
So we've talked extensively about this because he thinks OC is like the holy grail, and so we may eventually do a thing about OC. Like I want him to sell me on it, but he was trying to tell me that like, no, like Vicky actually is very smart. She has a legitimate business. She was the first one to come on, with a legitimate business. So he's like, I think you'd really like Vicky. For what it's worth, I do know the whole like the cancer
scam.
Like that all sounds very entertaining to me. Like I'm into
that.
that.
Well, no, it was totally. It was a. That's the thing. I mean, honestly, dark seasons
I love
can
them.
make really good television.
That's why I love Beverly Hills.
Same, and we'll get into that because I have hot takes on that. But with Vicky, I watch old seasons of OC, and now I understand why I liked her, tolerated her, because she has funny moments and stuff. But after the Brooks era with the cancer scam, she was not the same Vicky anymore. Like it was like not. She ruins it. She ruins the show, in my opinion, because she was almost like, she felt like because she's the OG, she makes the show, and this is why people tune in. And at that point, people were ostracizing her and they didn't really love her. And I think it was kind of like silly for her to think that, but that's what happens when you've been on for so long and you are an OG and whatever.
Let's take this. Let's roll right into Beverly Hills.
Perfect.
Okay. Because New York, Beverly Hills, and Potomac are like, I got my PhD in these three. So like, yes. I'm ready to go. And Jersey too, but specifically New York, Beverly Hills. Like I've rewatched these millions of times. So, okay, you go ahead.
I have tons of Beverly Hills opinions. But probably my most controversial one is the reason that Beverly Hills is as successful as it is, and why all of us say, oh, I really miss the early seasons of Beverly Hills.
It's two words. Kim Richards.
Mm-hmm. Amen. I'm glad you agree with me on this. Yeah. And here's the deal. So many people are like, oh, but her story, it was this, it was that. Like it was hard to watch. And I'm like, she is the one that literally gave us the storylines with her character was so complex. It wasn't even a character. It's her real life. She put everything out there. She put the good, the quirks, she was not afraid to stand up to anybody. She would scream out of nowhere at somebody. And at times she was probably wrong at times, but she was also, it was funny. It was good TV. It was real. And it gave an authentic reaction. And no one makes Kyle squirm more than Kim, as much as they love each other.
You know what it is? She was a loose cannon and unpredictable. Now, I think the reason why, I agree with everything you said. I think the reason why people have that awkward, funny feeling about her is because we know it's because she was on drugs. And we don't want to celebrate that.
Right. That is that I agree with that. That is one tricky thing, but I have to recognize that, although like I don't ever wish that on somebody by any means, but that was something going on in her life, and it did make for captivating television. Everyone thinks it's like LVP and like Kyle, and while they were in huge important roles, Beverly Hills would not be what it is, or like would not be remembered or what it was without Kim. And fun fact, if out of the 10 seasons, Kim has been either full-time or a friend in 9 out of the 10 seasons. So, and the only season that she was not a part of was season 8. And that was probably the worst Housewives season of all time.
Is that one with Carlton the Witch?
No, that's when Teddy joined. Okay. And this was not even any shade on Teddy. Totally was not any shade on Teddy, because Teddy's first season, I was like, I could take her or leave her. I had no opinion. Her second season is when I was like, get her off my show.
Can I give you, my unpopular opinion? I didn't hate Teddy. She was fine. I didn't hate her with the vitriol that she was.
People hate her.
I don't get the hate. I don't love her. I'm not saying that I she was like fantastic, but she didn't offend me in this way. I liked her. I thought she was smart. I thought that they're listen, my favorite housewives are the ones with a pellet of intelligence behind them. My Carol Radswells, my, even Aviva, Bethany, the Holy Grail. Luann is really fucking smart. I got news for everybody. You
would love Heather Dubrow then if you haven't watched Orange County, you would love her.
I would not know Heather Dubrow if she walked through this door right here. I would not know.
Oh my God.
I vaguely know what she looks like.
I love this little hot take and little fun fact about you, because this is insane to me that you have not watched any of OC. That is wild.
It's been on in the background.
Yeah. But again, it was never my favorite franchise by any means.
You know what Jamie tells me? Jamie always says, I'm so jealous of you. He's like, you have years and years of the most incredible television just waiting for you. He's like, I'm envious.
Well, I feel that way whenever someone starts either Potomac or Married to Medicine. I'm like, they don't have as many years, obviously, but I'm like, if only I could go back and be watching this for the first time. I am like that thought of that sounds like heaven.
So how do you, so on the Kim Richards note, well, I guess this is just a very quick aside about Kim Richards. I actually did, my friend was sleeping over. A friend of mine moved out of town. He moved to, a little bit upstate, and he hasn't seen all the Housewives, but he loves it. So every time he comes and we have a little sleepover, he's like, what are we going to put on tonight? He's like, give me something good. And I put a lot of thought into it. It's they always have to be trips. It has to be an arc, a 2-3 episode. So I'm thinking about it. He goes, I want it to be Beverly Hills. And I really thought about it. And I went with, I think it's either season 2 or season 3, the Hawaii trip.
Yes. Oh my God, it's so good.
And I'm telling you, when he left to go back, when I sent him on his way, you would have thought you would have thought that he just met the love of his life.
I mean, that trip, my friends and I quote that trip all the time, because it was there. I mean, again, this is a sad thing that was going on, but when Kim was like, I can't find my passport. Kim, Hawaii is in the United States. You don't need your passport. Or Ken had to work. Thought he was retired. He is. Those little moments where, I've had enough, or I have nothing to fess up to, Maurice. so many little Kim quotes that
I
are
love
like,
when she calls him Maurice in that condescending way.
Yes.
And I also love that I think the very next episode when they return from Hawaii, it's the one where Sir is like, it's the grand opening of like the expanded like version of Sir, and like
Yes.
I don't even know if you can see like a Jax in the back. I don't even think they cast Vanderpump Rules yet, but as Kim and Ken stay at a hotel because it's too far wherever the fuck they were living to get to West Hollywood, and you at one point Ken pushes the crew outside the hotel room, and you only hear the audio, and he's just like, Jesus Christ, because like Kim can't like find a shoe or like whatever.
Yes, and
the tension is just so real in a way that there's no tension anymore.
Well,
really.
That's what I was gonna say. I know we were gonna talk like our favorite Housewives season of all time, and I give Beverly Hills season 2 the best season of all time of all franchises.
Okay, guys, we recorded for so long, Steve and I, that we decided to break this up into 2 separate episodes. So the next episode you hear will be on Monday. So this is Friday. The next one is coming out on Monday. It's going to be the second half of this episode. The next half, we are going to continue Beverly Hills. Then we do New Jersey, Potomac, Vanderpump Rules, and Lisa Vanderpump. So that's it. That's what you have to look forward to. We've got we're going to do Potomac, continue Beverly Hills, LVP, Vanderpump Rules, and there may be something else in there, but that's the plan. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this one. Steve is amazing, and we will be back with the second half of this on Monday, bright and early. Thanks, guys.